Dr. Hovind, I love your doctoral thesis. I've torn it to pieces with house and gaffle. I can't remember when I last pissed myself laughing. It's a good thing the thesis mopped the piss off the floor.
Welcome to part 68 of this read-through and peer review of Kent Hovind's doctoral dissertation, which was published on wikileaks.org on December the 9th, 2009. If you have not yet seen the previous parts in this series, then I recommend that you go back and see those first, as in this episode I will start off exactly where I finished off in the last. In the last episode, Kent told us how the Earth cannot be older than 140 million years, otherwise all the mountains would have weathered down into a swamp. Of course, even if that were true, there would of course still be one mountain standing. That is, of course, Kent's very own mountain of stupid, his doctoral dissertation. Kent continues. The moon is receding. Yes, Kent, a little like another notable creationist hairline. I'm not going to say who, but he knows who he is. Don't you, Sporty? As you measure the distance to the moon, it can be seen that every year the moon gets a little bit further away. Yes, Kent, a little like yourself. You're already several miles over the lunatic horizon, and you're still accelerating. But carry on. If you calculate that backward, in time you should be able to calculate approximately when the moon began to leave or was captured in our orbit. Yes, Kent, that's reasonably logical. I do not believe that the moon was captured. Well, in that case, Kent, you're in good company, because neither does most of the scientific community. Some people say that the moon started as a part of the Pacific Ocean and was pulled out of that area. That was taught for many years and is still believed by some. Yes, Kent, but not by anybody who's actually taken seriously. They try to use that to explain all of the volcanoes in Hawaii, saying that the crust is very thin because the moon was pulled out. Yes, Kent, like I said, that theory has been somewhat well and truly debunked. The current theory for why there are volcanoes in Hawaii revolves around there being a hotspot in the Earth's mantle, and that this upwells through the Earth's crust, causing the chain of islands, of which Hawaii is just the most recent. The present theory for the origin of the moon states that at some point in the early history of the Earth it was hit by another protoplanet. A significant amount of debris was kicked off into space, and this coalesced in orbit around the Earth and formed the moon. This is evidenced, among other things, by the composition of the rocks brought back from the moon during the Apollo moon landings in the 1970s. And so the only people that seem to go on about the Earth being either captured or being pulled out of the Pacific is creationists such as yourselves, who like to use it as a nice and easy straw man that they can kick to bits to support their ridiculous argument, a little like you're doing right now. But please continue. The rate that the moon is receding, travelling away from the Earth, indicates a very young age for the Earth. Thomas G. Barnes, oh yes, your creationist fuckwit friend, a professor of physics at the University of Texas, El Paso, said, "It takes but one proof for a young age for the moon or the Earth to completely refute the doctrine of evolution." That initial statement is worth thinking about. Yes, Kent, indeed it does. You see, Kent, because in itself it's very telling. The theory of evolution has a great many countless proofs, as does the fact that the Earth is 4.5 billion years old. Creationists like yourself, on the other hand, are still looking for that first single proof that it isn't. Tell me, Kent, doesn't that start to set alarm bells ringing? No? Carry on then. If there is one proof, that is really all you need, just one proof. Yes, Kent, one proof, and that proof has to stand up to scientific scrutiny and has to overturn all of the other countless other proofs that it is going on to try and refute. But tell us more. He goes on to say, one can see through simple laws of physics that the moon should be receding from the Earth. Yes, Kent, and it is. From the same laws, one can show that the moon could never have survived a nearness to the Earth less than 11,500 miles. Yes, Kent, that too is correct. If the moon were any closer, the tidal forces on the Earth on a satellite that size would cause extreme damage to the satellite or to the Earth, like the rings of Saturn. Really, Kent, are the rings of Saturn damaged? Are they all sorts of wonky and buckled? A bit like a bicycle wheel that's made of pavement a little too hard? But anyway, do continue. So the moon was never closer than 11,500 miles is Barnes' contention. Yes, Kent, and in light of the actual evidence, is quite a good one, but we'll get to that later. The present speed of recession of the moon is known. Yes, Kent, it is. What's more, the reason for the current speed of recession is also known, but I'll let you continue. If one multiplies the recession speed by the presumed evolutionary age, the moon should be much farther from the Earth than it is, even if it started out from the Earth. Well, there's your problem right there, Kent. The rate at which the moon is sped up in its orbit around the Earth, and therefore its recession rate, is determined by the tides on the surface of the Earth. These are the tides of the oceans, and the tides of the oceans, well, they depend heavily on the configuration of the oceans, and the current configuration of the oceans isn't how the oceans have always been. For instance, 180 to 200 million years ago, all the continents grouped together in one single landmass known as Pangaea, which in effect means that there would have only been one ocean. The effect of this on the moon would have been considerably less, and therefore the moon would not have been accelerated quite as much in its orbit, and therefore would not have receded as fast. In fact, when this is taken into account, it has been calculated that in the moon's entire 4.3, 4.4, 4.5 billion year history, it has never been any closer than 150,000 miles. But anyway, there is as yet no tenable alternative explanation that would yield an evolutionary age of 4 billion years of the moon. Really, Kent? Do you really think so? If you do, you really do need to start reading something other than technical papers from the Institute of Creation Research. Because so far, most of what I've read in the last chapter seems to be references from Thomas G. Barnes and his contributions, from articles published by the Institute of Creation Research. Don't get me wrong, Kent, it's good that you're looking at other sources other than the Bible, but these sources should really be, well, a little bit more credible.